Hey everybody, it's Chris Lemig at True Nature Hypnotherapy. I am grabbing a few minutes here in between some work and seeing some clients to share with you a little video here. I want to talk a little bit about anxiety and some really powerful tools for being able to work with anxiety as it's coming up. I want to kind of preface this by saying, for one thing, I'm a hypnotherapist here in Washington State. I'm not a licensed mental health practitioner, so I don't have the professional capacity to diagnose people with anxiety or any disorder. That's not what I do. I do accept medical referrals from people at times, but most of the time people are coming to me with symptoms that may or may not have been diagnosed. I have a networking group of other healthcare professionals that I can refer to if people come to me and it seems to be that they've got a condition or are experiencing something that is outside of my scope of practice, and I'm more than happy and do whenever is appropriate refer out to other mental health professionals, medical professionals, and people like that. Anyway, that being said, all of that sort of disclaimer stuff there, people experience anxiety, whether it's generalized anxiety disorder or whether it's something else. It's not really it's not really the point. The point is that when we're suffering, what can we do to help ourselves, and what can we do to alleviate some of those symptoms and possibly even eradicate them through an appropriate and very helpful method, which hypnotherapy and NLP can be wonderful ways of working with some of the source material when we're dealing with things like anxiety, depression, compulsions, addictions, those sorts of things. So what I like to, there are many techniques in hypnosis and NLP that we can use to work with our anxiety, right? One that I like the most is really, it's an indirect way, actually. Because see, hypnosis and hypnotherapy are solution-oriented therapies. And what that means is that even though at times we will be looking at maybe the root causes of a problem, or the past history where something might have had a source in, we definitely can do that kind of work. A lot of times what we're doing is we're not really focusing on the problem so much as focusing on a solution for the problem. Now, a lot of people will come to me, and I'm guilty of this myself. I have to watch my own self. But a lot of people will come and talk about all the symptoms, right? All of I have anxiety, and it's hard for me to cope with relationships, and it's hard for me to, get up out of bed and go to work, and it's, listing all of these problems and how anxiety is affecting them, and how it's a problem for them. And that's totally fine. We need to understand that. We need to be able to identify that. What we don't often do, and this is just kind of a human nature thing, what we don't often do is think about, well, how do we want to be instead, right? And if we don't have a vision of that, if we don't have a vision of how we want to be and how we want to feel instead of how we're feeling now, it's really hard to get to that place. It's hard to get to that place when all we're doing is talking about the problem and how the problem feels. So a lot of times, and this is pretty radical stuff here, but a lot of times we can actually just completely kind of skip the line on dealing with the problem itself and just jump right into the solution, right? And we can do this by tapping into just some natural processes of the body, okay, and natural relationships between the body and the mind. So I want you to try a little exercise here. Give this a try if you're watching at home. Imagine yourself, and you can close your eyes if you want to do this, but imagine yourself walking through a beautiful lemon orchard, right? It's a nice, warm, sunny day. There's just the smell of lemons all around you. There's wonderful ripe lemons just hanging from these trees, just weighing down the branches with beautiful, big, yellow, juicy lemons. And you're just walking through this beautiful, very lovely peaceful, comfortable lemon orchard. Just feeling wonderful, feeling the sun shining on your face. And just reach up now, go to a lemon tree and just imagine yourself reaching up and just plucking one of those big, really big, ripe, juicy lemons from the tree. And just hear the snap of the stem and the flat back of the branch and the leaves fluttering. And just take that lemon now and just hold it in your hand. And then just bring it up to your nose and take a nice big smell of it, and just already smelling that wonderful lemon aroma. And go ahead and reach out. Maybe you've got in your pocket or somewhere you've got a little pocket knife. If you didn't bring one with you, just go ahead and imagine one now. And just take that pocket knife and then just cut open the lemon. Just cut a nice big wedge. Pull that wedge off. Put the knife away. Take the wedge off. And just go ahead and just smell it. Smell that wonderful lemon aroma and scent. And then just go ahead and take a nice big bite. Imagine yourself taking a nice big bite of that lemon. And all the juices just exploding all over your tongue, all over your teeth. And that wonderful, tart, puckered feeling. All right, now go ahead and open your eyes. And as I was even describing this to you, I don't know about you, but I'm salivating right now, just talking about that and thinking about that. For most of us, the connection between our body and mind is, even though in our sort of modern society where we've kind of lost some of that connection, it's still very powerful. And our thoughts, just imagining something like eating a lemon, can create a physical response, okay? So the same principle is applying to all sorts of other thoughts and all sorts of other emotions. There's a relationship between the body and the mind, okay? So emotions are not just they're not just a mental, energetic component to them. There's also physical aspects to it as well. There's somatic aspects. The same with thoughts. When we imagine something or a person or a place or a thing or a book that we like or a story or whatever, there's places in our body where we're kind of associating with all that information. So one of the things we do when we're working with things like anxiety, and like I say, kind of jumping the line and heading right into the solution rather than focusing on the problem, is what I'll do is I'll have people do a similar exercise to what we just did. And I'll just lay it out for you right here. It's actually pretty straightforward and pretty easy. So you can go ahead and do this with me, or you can just listen and watch and do it for yourself afterwards. But I do recommend that you give this a try. You can go ahead and close your eyes and just imagine a time where you felt absolutely fantastic. A time that was just a really amazing time for you. It could be sometime, in the distant past. It could be something fairly recent. It could be a vacation that you took, or it could be an award that you got, a job that you got that you didn't think you were going to get, a promotion, buying your first house, having your first child, skiing on a mountainside, or just being at the beach on a vacation on a particular time that was just absolutely astounding and wonderful. Just pick a time and just kind of imagine yourself there now. And really step into the experience, really be in the experience. And smell the smells. Just breathe in the air. And hear the sounds all around you, whether it's people or birds or animals or the waves of the ocean, whatever it is. Hear the sounds. Look down at your feet. Really see yourself there. See the sights. See all the colors. Notice maybe a particular color leaping out at you. And especially feel the feeling. Feel that wonderful feeling that you had then, having it now. and just feel that feeling and notice where it's happening in your body. Maybe it's a tingling sensation in your belly or in your chest, or maybe your heart is beating a little bit faster, or maybe your breath is just slowing down because it was a very relaxing experience as well. And just notice wherever that is in your body and just feel how good that feels to just bring that feeling up. And continue to increase that feeling more and more, and just make that feeling grow stronger and stronger in your body, in your mind, in your whole experience right now. And now go ahead and take your finger and your thumb of your right hand and just touch your index finger and your thumb together, rubbing them so slightly together, just very gently, rubbing them together. That's right, and just keeping that feeling, and just go ahead and let the finger and thumb go. Take a deep breath, and then when you're ready, you can open your eyes. So what we've done there is we have, again, used this principle of this relationship between the body and mind to create a situation, create emotion based upon a situation that's happened in the past that we have a really positive, strong, positive association with. Something that when we think about it, it just automatically makes us smile, right? So there's that body-mind relationship where just thinking of a thing can make you feel really good. And what we did is that we really stepped into that experience, right? We made it so that we were really reliving it again, not just thinking about it, not just talking about it as something that you did, but reimagining it as something that you're doing. So that way it intensifies that wonderful feeling and makes it even stronger. And then notice that we can play with that and even make it stronger than maybe it was to begin with. Just by simply saying, yeah, bring up that feeling more and more. And then what we did is we anchored that feeling or that emotion into a gesture or into a touch. And I'll talk more about anchors maybe in another video someday. But essentially what we've done is we've created a stimulus, a particular stimulus that's going to generate a response later on. So I want you to go ahead now, and you can keep your eyes open or you can keep your eyes closed, but go ahead and just touch your finger and thumb together and just rub them gently together. And just notice that wonderful feeling just coming back. And just bring it back more and more, increasing it more and more as you rub your finger and thumb together. And maybe you're imagining yourself back in that situation, back in that memory, back in that really positive, wonderful experience. And then you can open your eyes again and let your finger and thumb go. And so now practice this technique of firing up your anchor. That's what the process is called, firing your anchor, bringing up that positive feeling, increasing it, and just you can experience it for really as long as you like. But even just for a minute or two can be really a wonderful experience, right? Especially if you're feeling something like anxiety. And this can become a really powerful tool. So if you're on your way to work on the bus, say, and all of a sudden, who knows why, a panic attack starts. And in the past, up until now, it's just been something that's completely terrifying, and that just seems like you're like, oh shit, here it goes again. And it's just, up until now, it's been an experience where it's just felt like completely out of your control. Well, this is one tool of many that you can bring into your emotional wellness toolbox. And you fire up this anchor and automatically bring up that really positive feeling, that really wonderful feeling, and make it stronger and stronger. And what happens is that it short circuits that out of control panic attack anxiety response. It has the power to do that. And this is something that you can do, you can practice and get better and better at it. So again, this is just one technique. There are lots of techniques for dealing with these sorts of things. And again, I'm not a licensed mental health therapist. And when people are talking to me about life-threatening, severe anxiety, which can be life-threatening, truly. I always work with another team of professionals that I refer people to if they don't already have their own mental health provider and health provider. So, but this can be added to a larger treatment plan, a larger picture of what can be done. Okay, so maybe it's a conjunction of talk therapy, CBT, maybe some medication, but then also maybe these tools can be added in there. Tools like this anchor, anchoring a positive resource state, can be added in to help you cope with, and not even just cope with, but really move through anxiety and relate to it in a completely different way. So I hope you found that useful. It can be also just useful even for less severe cases, for sure, of whatever negative states that we're experiencing. So whether it's just a little funk even, and I have experienced clinical depression in the past, and so using all of these techniques. When I notice even just a little bit of a funk and there's no reason for it, because there usually isn't, there's really no reason. Sometimes there are reasons to get low and depressed and sad, but generally speaking, these funky moods that come up that can spiral into that darkness of depression generally are just triggered by something subconscious, and there's really no good reason to feel that way. I'll just fire up my positive anchor, right? And I have this wonderful memory of the first time I went to India, and I was taking the bus from Delhi up into the mountains in Dharamsala, and it was this really arduous, long trip, and it was so exciting though. And first time I'd ever traveled abroad, and I just remember the feelings of excitement, anticipation, and wonder, and even a little bit of fear, but it was a good, excited fear. And I remember the morning that we had broken down a couple times during the night, but the morning that we're just approaching the foothills to go up into the mountains, and we stopped to get some tea in this little roadside tea shop in the forest, and I just felt this wonderful feeling. So I fire up my anchor, I bring that feeling back, and lots of other positive feelings throughout my life too, and it cuts through the funk. It's amazing. It just absolutely cuts through it, and it stops it in its tracks, and I can basically restart my day right then and there, and I don't have to go down this dark rabbit hole. So I use this technique myself. I find it to be really valuable. I teach it to my clients as well, and I get a lot of good feedback about this. And I just am able to see, as I'm teaching this to people, I'm able to see them change their states, on their own, with their own, just by their thoughts, the power of their mind and the power of their subconscious mind, able to change these negative states into positive resource states. So again, I hope you found that useful, that anchoring technique. There's definitely more pieces to it that we can talk about at a later time, but that's the basic technique, and it's something that you can begin using for yourself right away. Again, not just for acute situations, but also just generally just to give yourself a nice break during the day, or just bring up a positive feeling, maybe before you're about to give a presentation, or before you are going into a job interview, or before you're going to take an important phone call, or whatever it might be. You can fire up this positive state, get yourself into a really positive, confident state of being and a state of feeling, and be just that much more effective in whatever you're doing. So thanks for watching. Again, my name is Chris Lemig with True Nature Hypnotherapy. I'm a transpersonal hypnotherapist here in the Seattle area. However, I see clients from anywhere in the world on Zoom. So if you have more questions about hypnosis and hypnotherapy and what I do, check out my website at www.truenaturehypnotherapy.com, or you can reach out to me through Facebook and YouTube and social media and things like that as well. And I'm happy to answer your questions and talk to you. So again, Chris Lemig at True Nature Hypnotherapy. Hope you have a wonderful day. Use that fire that anchor, practice it, get good at it. You deserve it. Okay, take care.